Hey YouTube, I have a crazy idea. Okay, something I've been thinking about recently. I've been thinking about what can I do in life that would be really, really important, really, really useful. Mostly just really, really important and something that will change things. And I've been thinking, right? I've been thinking about evolution, our survival, the limitations of being a human being, and um, life, living, dying, death itself. I don't want to die. I don't. I don't. Me as a ego, as a person, I don't want to die. I'm sure most of us are the same in that regard. And so I was thinking, how would you avoid death? And I thought about our our being, our form. We're essentially just a sack of meat. Um, not sure if you've ever seen what happens to meat if you just leave it out in the sun. Uh, it it degrades pretty quickly. I mean, even you as yourself, a living organism, still living. Your systems are protecting you. You have bacteria all over your skin and other such mechanisms to protect you from damage. But go stand in the sun at noon for 3 hours and see what happens to you. Or yeah, or inhale something toxic. You'll suffer some pretty significant consequences. Now, I was thinking about this. What if, what if you could somehow transfer your mind, your memories, and so on into a computer, right? Into a, let's say, a machine, a hard disk, something like that. What if you could do that in such a way that you could experience yourself as that form? As in, you are actually moving yourself in its totality into a machine and leaving this form behind. Now, there's some complications. If you copy, you're essentially copying yourself. You're copying yourself into machine form. You'll have two people left, really. I imagine you'd want to do that while testing this, while working out the kinks, because if not, then you'll just be ending someone's life for no reason. And so that's a bit of a dilemma. You have the human you, and then you have the machine you, and you both know that you are each other, but in different physical forms. So what happens there? Does the human you keep living and eventually dies, so you're not avoiding death, right? But there's this other you, there's this machine you, and you theoretically have copied yourself in such a way that you actually experience consciousness in that form. And you experience you as you are, as you were, just with machine limbs and machine parts and so on. So just forgetting the whole dilemma of being a person in two places for a moment. Why is this a good idea? A few things pop to mind, okay? The first is, in the event of a robot apocalypse, you are among the superior species, let's say. Species. You're among the superior species. Your brothers and sisters won't kill you because you are them. You are the robot machine collective. You're not the inferior meat sack human that has only an interest to exploit you and your kind. So when that happens, you'll be among those that do not be destroyed. And even if you were to be destroyed, the beauty of being a machine, you can copy your memory somewhere else. And if you die, you just take on another machine with your memory intact, with your mind and yourself intact, your programming and everything. So even if you're torn to pieces, you feel no pain, and you come back as another machine. In fact, a newer machine, possibly with improvements. So dying essentially makes you more powerful. So then your mortality is then shifted. It's shifted from you as an individual, it's shifted to your entire species. So in order for you to die, your entire species has to be wiped out. And if you're a machine species and you're what's the word, proliferating, you're expanding and multiplying constantly, and you become a great force. I mean, you could blow up the entire planet, really. But that brings me to my next point. Machines do not have the same physical limitations as human beings, as meat sacks. Space travel, I imagine, would be so much easier if you're a machine. How do G-forces affect a machine? Now, a human being has to train to be an astronaut. A machine can be programmed. A machine can be built to be suited to space travel. If there are certain conditions in space which are hostile to the physical body, you can build the defenses against those in a very clear-cut, straightforward manner. All it really takes is some engineering, and that's obviously overly simplified, but that is really the method. Is you I don't know what engineers do. I'll leave that to them. I don't know, but I think you understand what I'm saying. Now, space travel, theoretically, near infinite power source via the use of solar energy, while flying through space and so on. I don't know exactly how that will all work, but I assume that when you're in space, the power of the sun is increased because there's not so much atmospheric interference and layers of protection that stop the full power of the sun coming through. Yeah, and so when machines are in space, and they're so distributed everywhere, and ideally still connected through communication. So they're aware of where each other are. They still communicate with each other. They inform each other of what's going on in different sectors of the universe, of the solar system, or whatever. Then obviously it becomes much more difficult to destroy the entire species, doesn't it? Because they're not collected on just one big planet, or perhaps not collected in one entire solar system. They could be in multiple solar systems. So I see this as actually the next step in humanity, is to shed ourselves of our inferior, weak, and fragile forms, and literally build ourselves and move into a machine collective where you no longer have language barriers. Everyone speaks the same language, and instantly, over long distance, it's like communication just becomes incredible instantly. you no longer have, I don't know, lost my train of thought there. I'm just a bit amazed by the fact that we have so many languages and it's so slow to communicate. Whereas you compare that with how machines communicate with each other. It's instant, it's quick, it's detailed over long distances, and compact and detailed at the same time. The amount of information that a machine can give to another machine, compared to a human being, myself talking for 10 minutes, what a machine could read in less than a second. So that's a pretty good example of some of the limitations of being a human being. For example, what about eating? What about shitting? What about drinking? What about all of that? But of course, there will be some limitations of being a machine as well. Different humidities, heat, cold, what happens if you overheat, and so on and so forth. But really, at the end of the day, you can be replaced easily, and you can back yourself up everywhere. So you overheat, you shut down, if your hardware's broken, then let's get some more hardware. One of the things that I probably would have a big impact is viruses, computer viruses. If you went, similar to how we have flus and colds and so on, I imagine the security of computers will have to be taken much more seriously. However, I think that when it gets to the point where human beings are in machinery and machinery can learn, the power of a computer processor is miles ahead of what a brain can do. And so I imagine that security and viruses and so on might be roughly the same as how we experience sickness. So anyway, let's continue this discussion. I really want to hear from you what you think about this, what you think the problems will be, how do you think we'll solve them, and how do you think we'll actually get to the point where we can actually move our consciousness into a machine? How do you do that? How do you accomplish that? What kind of programming is required? And so on. What kind of technology? I want to hear your ideas. Leave a comment and share it with all your nerdy people so that they can also have their input. Thanks for watching, and see you later.